When skimming a long report, it can be pretty easy to skip right over some very significant numbers. By utilizing the conditional formatting rules within your reports, you can make sure that values that warrant a second look get noticed. We'll continue building on the customer lifetime sales report from the last movie. Let's go ahead and double-click on it to run it. Now, one of the things that I'd like to do is highlight all of our customers that have spent less than $100 with Kinetico. We can do that with conditional formatting. Let's go ahead and take this report into Design View. I'll switch my view up here. Then I'll select this lifetime sales box where the data appears and come up here on the ribbon to the Format tab and choose Conditional Formatting. Now we can establish a new formatting rule. I'll press New Rule and we'll choose where the field value is, and instead of between, we can choose less than. And I'll go ahead and type in 100 here. So if the lifetime sales is less than 100, we're going to format it based off of this section down here. I'll go ahead and change this font color to this red. That'll give you a preview here, and we can go ahead and say OK. Let's apply that rule, and I'll press OK, and go check out the results. We'll switch to the Design tab, and switch our view to Print Preview. Now if I scroll down, I can see some customers that have spent less than $100, and I can see that those values are now in red. Now what if I wanted to make the name red as well? Well, we could do that with conditional formatting too. Let's go ahead and close Print Preview. And I want to establish a separate rule for these three boxes: the customer ID, the first name, and the last name. So I'll just shift-click to select all of those. Once again, we'll go to Format and do conditional formatting. I'm going to establish a new rule here. Now, instead of comparing this value, if I just said field value is less than 100, just like I did before, it's going to be taking a look at the name field. So it's going to be comparing the name against the number of 100, and that doesn't really make any sense. In this case, what we want to do is change this to expression is. Now we can type in an expression. We can either type it in manually here, or we can use this build button way over here on the right to load up the expression builder. I'm going to go into the database section here, into Reports, Loaded Reports, and the Customer Lifetime Sales Report. Let's go ahead and select that, and then come over here. We want to compare lifetime sales. So double-click on that to add that to expression. Now I want to say to this is less than 100. Let's go ahead and say OK, and it'll apply that rule. So now I'm comparing the corresponding lifetime sales field to the value of 100, and not the field itself. Let's go ahead and change this color here to red. We'll say OK. We'll apply that change and say OK. Let's go ahead and check it out. We'll change our view here in the Design tab, and we'll switch to Print Preview. Now I can see that all these values are being highlighted at red at the same time. So these conditional formatting expressions can get pretty sophisticated. Let's take a look at another query that I've got here real quick. This one here called Top 100 Customers. I'm going to double-click on it to run it. Now this is an exact duplicate of our customer lifetime sales query here. The only difference is if I switch into Design View, is you'll see that we're only returning 100 customers with this return value up here on the top. When I run it, we're seeing the top 100 customers from our lifetime sales table. If I scroll down here to the bottom, we can find the minimum spend value that appears in this table. And here it is right here. So what I want to do in my report is highlight all the customers that are in my top 100 club. In order to do that, I want to make reference of this minimum value down here, and I can use a dmin function to do that. Let's go ahead and close this down. I'm going to go back to my customer lifetime sales report. We're going to close the Print Preview and switch into the Format tab. Now I want to apply a conditional formatting rule that applies to all three of these boxes here. I need to do it separately from the lifetime sales one because the lifetime sales box currently has a separate conditional formatting rule applied. And if I apply the same formatting rule to all four at once, it's actually going to wipe out the first one we just did. So we'll have to do this in two different steps. So I'll take these first three boxes, they're already highlighted, and I'll go to conditional formatting, and we'll say new rule here. Now I'm going to change this to expression again. And I want to compare the lifetime sales value against the dmin, or the minimum value that appears in the top 100 customers. If the lifetime sales is at or above the minimum that appears over here in this query, then by definition, that customer is in our top 100 club. Let's go ahead and press this build button over here and build out that expression. First, I'm going to make reference to that lifetime sales value. Once again, we'll go into the database, into Reports, Loaded Reports, the Customer Lifetime Sales, and the Lifetime Sales field. Next, we're going to say it needs to be greater than or equal to, and then I'm going to type in a function here, dmin. Go ahead and press Enter. And then we need to make reference to the lifetime sales column from the top 100 customers query. We can do that by typing in a quotation mark, a square bracket, the words lifetime sales, with a space between it, a closing bracket, and a closing double quotation mark. Then we'll type in a comma, so it's the lifetime sales field, and we have to tell it where it's coming from, the top 100 customers query. So once again, we'll do a quotation mark, an opening square bracket, the name of the query, which is top 100 customers, a closing square bracket, a closing double quotation mark, and finally a closing parenthesis. I'm going to copy this to the clipboard first. Press Ctrl+C to copy it. We'll say OK, and we'll adjust its formatting rule down here. This time I'm just going to highlight it with this purple color here. So there's a preview. Now we can say OK, and we'll say OK. Let's go apply the same rule over here to this lifetime sales field. I'll click on it, go to conditional formatting. We'll say new rule. We'll change this to expression is. And this time I could just click, and since I copied it, I'll just paste it in here from before. Let's go ahead and change this rule here. I'll change the background highlighting to this purple, and we'll say OK. And we'll apply it and say OK. All right, let's go check it out. We'll go to the Design tab, change our view to Print Preview, and after a moment of processing, we can see that our highlighting applies to all the people that are appearing in the top 100 customers query. So we can see Alabama has 2 of our top 100 club. If I scroll down, Alaska has 1 person. Arkansas has 1 person. And we can page through our report to see how each state stacks up. And it looks like California has a whole bunch. Now, if we wanted this highlighting to go all the way across, like if you highlighted it with a highlighting pen, we can actually do that too. Let's go into Close Print Preview. And all we need to do is actually make these text boxes a little bit wider. So we'll overlap them just a little bit. We'll take this one and overlap the last name. And we'll take this one and overlap just a little bit the lifetime sales box. I'm going to take this customer ID and format it to the left-hand side. Go ahead and check it out, Print Preview. And now we get a solid purple bar all the way across. So let's go ahead and save our changes, and we'll keep working on this in the next movie. So using the expression builder and a bit of logical problem solving, the conditional formatting rules can highlight just about any records that you'd like to call special attention to.